Hello, welcome to Tim Anderson Horse Training. As you see, I'm in my office today for this video. I have been making videos and putting them on Facebook and YouTube for right at 2 years, I believe, and I think I have about 250 videos up, and I've somewhere around 25,000 followers follow me between Facebook and YouTube. And I just wanted to make a video and kind of tell you a little bit about uh, who I am and how I've come into the horse training industry, and talk a little bit about some of the horses that have influenced me in my training. I have some of them on pictures on the wall behind me, and my story about how I got started with horses is a lot different than a lot of people. I grew up in the city. I don't think I ever touched a horse in person or saw a horse in person until I was a teenager. I was 15 and dating a girl that grew up around horses, and every time she wanted to go on a date, she wanted to go horseback riding. So naturally, I learned how to ride so that I could go on the date, and didn't know that that was going to turn into a career for me in the horse industry. Not only did the horses turn into a career for me, but eventually I married the girl that I was dating at the time, and soon we will be coming up on our 40th wedding anniversary. For a while we didn't have any horses of our own, but we had access to ride horses with friends and go on some trail rides and things like that. And when we did decide to get horses, we got two pretty quick, which I think what most people do. And one of them was an older Western pleasure horse, and the other one was a young horse. I believe he was 3 years old. They told us that he was started, but I don't think he was. He was very underweight, and we got weight back on him and ended up, I don't believe he was started, and I ended up starting myself, and he ended up being basically a family horse. My daughter did jumping and dressage on him. My son did some roping on him. He wasn't real good at any of it, but he tried really hard. He was good enough so that we all had fun with him. So now that there was four of us riding and we had two horses, that really wasn't enough, and I was interested in more training things. So my wife found a young horse that she ended up buying as a gift for me, and something for me to train, and this ended up being a big challenge for me. This was probably the horse that taught me more than any other horse that I had. It was the Hot Express on the top and another greyhound on the bottom. So as you can imagine by the breeding, it was a very hot horse. I remember having nightmares in the middle of the night that the two halves of the horse was on opposite ends of the pasture, and I was trying to get the two halves of the horse together so that I could ride. The horse was very separate, left brain and right brain separate, even to the point where one day the left side would ride good and the right side wouldn't, or the right side would ride good and the left side wouldn't. She was a challenge. I've never ridden another horse since then, and it could be that I've learned so much since then I know how to handle it better. But this horse taught me more than probably any other horse that I've had since. She had very little steering and no whoa. I mean, I spent most of my ride, she was running off with me, and I was just trying to hang on and steer and get her stopped. She taught me how to ride a hot horse for sure, and I learned a lot about her. I ended up getting her pretty nice. I actually ended up getting her in the show pen. We showed a little bit, didn't do any good, but did get good enough that we showed, and I actually got her qualified as a mounted police horse, and she did handle that okay. And one of the things that I am most proud of is how far she came. In the end, she wasn't a real great horse. She had some issues, but from where she started and where I took her, I'm really proud of what I have had accomplished with her. So those 4 or 5 years, I believe, that I had Sophie, I was working construction, working a job as an electrical contractor, and I was raising a family. Our kids was young, so I couldn't go off and apprentice with a a big name trainer like what a lot of people do to learn how to train. I was just hauling to other trainer friends of mine on the weekends and whenever I could get away, and just learning as much as I could that way. That was the only way that I could at the time. There was no way I could go off and apprentice under another trainer while I was raising my family. And eventually I was ready to move on from Sophie. I got another young horse, and the intent of this horse was to be another police horse. I was a reserve in a mounted police unit, and they had asked me if I would go off to mounted police instructor school, which I was very flattered that they asked me to do, and went and came back, and I became the mounted instructor for our mounted unit, not realizing that that was going to cause me to lose my non-pro status. And I was far from being ready to ride as an open rider, but at that point it was too late. I had lost my non-pro status. I was a professional rider, whether I wanted to be or not, and jumped in the water with both feet and just about drowned and got ate up by sharks. But the only thing to do was to keep riding and keep learning. Since I was in a position where I needed to step up my game, I knew I wanted to get into reining and working cow horse, and there was no way that I could do it without taking a big step. I needed a horse that had already been trained and knew what the maneuvers were so that I could learn from him. And I knew that was the next step I needed to take. And I ended up actually getting a grandson of Continental King. It was a stallion. He was a pretty rank stallion. He was bad. He was mean. My wife and I both have scars from him. But I learned a lot from him. I learned how to show a horse from him. His reining work had already been trained. He had money earned and points earned, but his cow work was not trained. So when I got him, I showed him in reining. I got my first NRHA earnings on him. So I trained his cow work, and I trained him in some all-around events. And he is the one that I won the AQHA all-around trophy on back here. So while I was showing Can Do It, I was building up a little bit of a colt starting and training business. I knew at that point, for me to grow and bring in better horses, I always need to have something better in the barn that belonged to me, that was better than anything that was being sent to me. Because I felt like that was the best way for me to draw in new clients. I wasn't going to be able to draw in better horses unless people saw me showing horses that were better than what I was being sent. So I had a couple of horses that I was working, and I was training myself and showing to get out there to show people that I could train and show a nice horse. And one of the horses is the one on the picture on the wall over here, over there. That's a pencil sketching that I had a friend of mine do. And it's kind of funny because the person that did the pencil sketch, and she brought me two horses, a sorrel horse and then a paint horse, and asked me if I would take the paint horse as training for, I don't remember, a couple of months or whatever on the sorrel horse. And I agreed to it, and I started hers first. I think I put about 2 weeks on hers, and then I started the paint horse that was going to be mine. And it was not long, just a few days later, I called her on the phone. I said, look, I said, this paint horse is really nice, but I don't like this sorrel. I said, you need to look at getting rid of her. I said, if you want, I hate to take the better of the two horses since they're so much different. If you want, let's just undo the deal. You can pay me for the training and take both horses back. And she said, no, a deal's a deal. And so we followed through with it. And I rode Gunny, and I won several paint top 10s on her. I don't know how many, but it was several in several different events. Probably one of, if not the most favorite horse that I've had so far that has belonged to me. And she was something special to me. So since Gunny, and I did so well on her as her being my horse, I've had a lot of success with some clients' horses since then. I had Missy, and with her I won this up here, won this Morrison on her in reining. Ended up winning an NRHA title on her, and then I had Hank. I won this Lawson on him, and I actually qualified him for both the AQHA Worlds and the National Rank Cow Horse Worlds. And then COVID hit. We ended up not going to any of them. But I think I qualified him for 3 world shows total before COVID. And now hopefully we're planning on getting back on the road with him and see what we can qualify him for. I won his Certificate of Achievement with National Rank Cow Horse Association and still campaigning him. And also I have Baloo, which I don't have any trophies of him just yet. This is actually his first show year. I've been very successful with him so far, and I have him qualified for the National Rank Cow Horse World Show for this coming up year. We're planning on being there, and I'm really excited about him and really excited to see what he's going to do. He's still a young horse, and he's going to have a long and successful career, and really excited about his future. So that's kind of my horse career in a nutshell, and how I became a trainer. I hope you enjoyed kind of hearing my story, and I hope maybe that inspires you a little bit to realize you don't have to go off and ride with a big name trainer to be successful. Just learn everything you can from everybody that's out there, and just soak it all in, and be the best you can be, but enjoy the journey. To me, that's the most important part. There's a saying that says, the journey is the reward and winning is a bonus. And I try to stick by that. And if you stick by that, you're going to have a very enjoyable horse career. I'd very much appreciate if you would like and subscribe to my channel. You'll get notifications when I get new videos out, kind of like these training videos up here. And I have a lot of videos out. There's about 250 videos. And if there's a topic that I don't have a video on that you would like to see, please shoot me a message and let me know. Until next time, thank you for watching.